Hello, everyone. My name is Fred. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Akeneo. I'm really sorry not being able to be with you in real time today. I had some kind of family constraints that I couldn't get rid of, but I wanted to say first, before starting this presentation, a huge thank you to all of you, and especially to the Webkul team for having organized this amazing event and this meetup. I think it really gives a sense to what we are doing when we see this community thriving and having people all over the world gathering together to talk about Akeneo, to share some insights, share some good practices, is really the most important thing for us. So again, thank you, and thank you for your support and for being there. I know that you will have during the whole day a lot of great talks about many great speakers, about Akeneo, about some third-party extensions to do some print, to do digital asset management. And I don't want to repeat what they will tell you, but I wanted to first give you maybe a quick update on where Akeneo is today and what we are actually trying to achieve. And maybe let's start with the open source thing, because I feel like this is probably the most important part of what we are doing here at Akeneo. And we are pretty proud to say that today Akeneo is the most used PIM platform in the world. We know that we currently have more than 60,000 active installations of Akeneo Community Edition across the globe. 60,000 live installations, 2 new per hour. And actually we see more and more of them coming from India, which is fantastic. The fun fact is that now we've realized pretty recently that Akeneo is actually Googled more than product information management, which is also a kind of great achievement for us. But it's not only about the awareness, it's really about what this community can do together. And when I see the work Webkul is doing and what the work the community is doing by contributing, by providing some top-level extensions on the top of Akeneo, that's really what makes open source powerful and unique. And I really feel like that makes a huge difference between a proprietary system and an open source system. Akeneo is currently translated in more than 35 languages. And us, the Akeneo team, never translated anything in Akeneo. It has all been done by the community, which is great. And I don't know if you ever try to look for Akeneo on Google Image. If you do, so now you will mostly find some pictures of Ziggy or Hydra, but you might find also some pictures of Sofa. And actually, we have a community edition user in the US who were so happy with Akeneo that he decided to name one of his product line Akeneo. So if you want to buy a nice sofa, I encourage you to take a look at Stilo Sofa. I also wanted to share with you a few facts about who are actually our customers. Because we realized when we started Akeneo, we were mostly focused on B2C retailers, luxury brands. We are a French company, so we have a lot of them here in France. But we quickly realized that actually product information management and product experience management was not only a B2C thing. We see more and more B2B brands, B2B manufacturers that are also starting to consider product information management as a key component for their digital transformation process. And I think that's pretty new. It also comes clearly with what we are calling the second wave of e-commerce. We've seen the first wave between 2008 and 2012 when Magento arrived, where we saw a lot of B2C retailers starting to build their new e-commerce platform. And now we start really see a new wave coming from those B2B manufacturers, companies like John Deere, companies like Staples, and many others that are really trying to put their product information at the core of their digital transformation, which is great. So you can see that Akeneo is working either with tractors, with DIY, and with beer, which is great. And talking about use cases, I assume that probably most of you are coming from the e-commerce space, maybe from the Magento ecosystem or from the Shopify ecosystem. And that's true that for e-commerce, product information management is key, because it's all about the discoverability of your product. You want a good SEO, you want a good conversion rate, and you want to provide some very good product pages for your consumers, which is important. But I think it would be kind of limiting to just look at the e-commerce part of what can product information management bring on the table. Actually, where Akeneo and where PIM really strive is when you have not only one digital channel, but many different channels. If I'm looking at our customers right now, we know that 30% of our existing customer base don't do any e-commerce at all. The reason why they are using Akeneo is mostly to even generate their print catalog, to prepare and distribute their product information to their resellers, to manage all their localization processes because they need to sell cross-border. And all those use cases are not directly linked to e-commerce. And I think that's something important to keep in mind, because Akeneo is really thriving in an omni-channel environment. And I think, by the way, that with the presentation from in between you will have later today, you will see that we can do very, very cool stuff with Akeneo on the print catalog. And so to achieve this, we launched, of course, Akeneo PIM in October 2014, at least for the enterprise edition. It was really the very beginning of Akeneo. We continue to invest a lot in that product, and we continue also to develop some add-ons, some extensions on the top of this platform to solve some other issues. Actually, our conviction is that product information management is a boring task. No one likes to do product information management. No one likes to spend hours in Excel spreadsheets to try to figure out if the product in the line 12 is a kind of duplicate of the product in the line 10. It's a boring task, but it's a necessary task. There is nothing you can do if at the core your product data is not extremely good. You can talk about personalization, you can talk about chatbots, you can talk about AI, voice assistants. All those things can work only and only if your product data is very good. And so our obsession at Akeneo has always been to help our customers and help our users to get rid of the boring part so they can really focus on what creates value. Create value in terms of how much information they can add, how they can improve their experience. And so the PIM was the first step in that direction. We released in the October 2018 the Onboarder, which is a kind of supplier portal. When you are a large retailer and you have many, many different suppliers, sometimes you want to provide them a kind of very lightweight PIM interface where they can provide the data you need from them. So this is what we've done in October. And the thing we are very excited about too is, frankly, Franklin is our AI product that we launched a couple of months ago. It's a result of an acquisition we've done a few months ago. And Franklin is all about automating as much as possible the enrichment process. We know that a lot of product data is already available out there on many different websites. And actually what Franklin does is that it collects all this data and aggregates this data and cleans that data to recreate some very good product pages. As of today, we have a bit more than 50 million unique products in that library that we can use and leverage to assist and to automate the enrichment directly into the PIM. Again, you are a large retailer, you have many suppliers, you will get a first level of product information, maybe 5 or 10 attributes, key attributes coming from those suppliers, but you know that it won't be enough. And with Franklin, we will be able to complete that automatically. We will be able to tell you exactly what you are missing, what attributes do you need, where do you have some errors. Maybe we will be able to find some duplicates or some incorrect information. So everything that can ease the work of people that are working on this product information is something we want to invest in. And we will continue to do so. And just a quick anecdote before finishing this presentation is, again, talking about Franklin. The reason why we named Akeneo, this AI product Franklin, is of course because Benjamin Franklin. And Benjamin Franklin has always been fascinating to us. I don't know if you know what you know exactly about Franklin, but he was born in the very beginning of the 18th century. And when he was young, in 1727, he was living in the city of Philadelphia in the United States. It's still the very beginning of the 18th century. So just to give you a quick reminder, the steam engine has just been invented 10 years before. And so it was really the very premises of the first industrial revolution. The English stock market crashed 1 year ago because of the explosion of the very first economic bubble in the history. And the geopolitical situation is very, very uncertain, very tense. Wars, alliance, peace treaties in Europe and Russia keep succeeding. So it's a kind of not so funny world to live in at that time. And in 1727, we have Benjamin Franklin, who is still a 20 years old guy, and as many young people, likes meeting with friends to reinvent the world. We've all done that, and spending hours in a tavern, because that's the way to do it, to discuss readings and debate how they could make the world a better place. And they all felt that they were at the gate of an important transformation of the world they were living in. And so what started with a pretty informal meeting once a week in this tavern, quickly became a regular assembly of many different people, tradesmen, artisans. All of them were seeking for good company and mutual improvement. They were really trying to learn from each other. And Ben Franklin, therefore, transformed those meetings into a more structured organization. And he created something he calls the Junto Club. Every Friday, he got together with 12 friends to discuss about morals, politics, natural philosophy. And they were really trying during those meetings to structure those meetings to try to learn something. And to learn something, the first idea they had was to say, okay, every meeting you have to bring with you a book. And this book, you will read a part of it to everyone to share with others. And so we will see what we can learn from it. But bringing back books back and forth quickly became cumbersome. Again, we are in the beginning of the 18th century. In the United States, all the books are in London. So every time you need a book, you have to travel to make this book travel from London to the United States. It's long, it's expensive, and that was a problem for them. Books, the knowledge, was very difficult to access if you were not extremely rich. And this is where Franklin had this simple but yet brilliant idea. So rather than bringing books back and forth, members will keep books in the room, and everybody will be able to borrow them in exchange of a small recurring contribution. It might sound obvious now, but at that time, Benjamin Franklin, really basically invented the first public lending library. And by doing that, he allowed much easier access to knowledge for non-elites. And it has been working so well that this group quickly became bigger and bigger, and the library became extremely big too. And it became what we know now as the Library Company of Philadelphia, which still exists today and which has accumulated one of the most significant collections of manuscripts in the United States. And why am I telling you all of this about Franklin and about this Junto thing? First, because as you might understand, we are trying to reproduce this idea of shared library with open source, with Franklin. But I also really feel like what you are doing today by gathering all together to share between each other what you've done, what are the good practices, what are the failures you had, is precisely what Franklin was trying to do at that time. And I feel like really those meetups are the new Juntos. And from the Junto born a lot of really great initiatives, the Union Fire Company, the Pennsylvania Hospital, the University of Philadelphia. And so I'm very, very excited about that. You know, there is always a lot of noise around startups. Yeah, every startup wants to change the world, to make the world a better place. I don't know if we will make the world a better place, but what I know for sure is that with open source, with those kind of meetups, we clearly contribute to make this world a bit closer from each other. And that's probably what is the most important for me. So thank you, everyone. I hope you will enjoy this day. I hope you will learn a lot. I hope you will also share a lot with everyone. And hopefully next time and next year, we will be able to be there in person. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day.